Friday Night Sports Fix, Out of Bounds, and Prime Time. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for 60 minutes of sports chatter with some black folks flavor. You're welcome to join the conversation at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Tavis Smiley. The tools to hold a meaningful conversation should not be reserved just for a privileged few. It is a skill our world desperately needs in every community, at every table. So I'm pleased to announce the Founding Members Scholarship Program for my online course, The Art of Conversation, in 4 different categories. The Community Builder, for those who serve others, the Rising Voice for emerging communicators, the Bridge Builder for underrepresented perspectives, and the Determined Scholar for those facing financial hardship. If finances are the only barrier between you and this training, well, let's hurdle that barrier. We're accepting applications right now at TavisTalks.com. That's TavisTalks.com. The priority deadline is February the 10th. So visit TavisTalks.com right now and let's build this table together.
On and on and on and on.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
Jesse Jackson Jr., welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Fat Meat Fridays. Leader of our show will be joining us in the next hour, but the first hour, Bishop William Joseph Tolton will be our very special guest. I'm very excited about that. Bishop Tolton is one of our most prolific thinking ministers in the nation. Bishop Tolton is the president of Interconnected Justice. Interconnected Justice is an internationalist network mobilizing people of African descent across Africa, the diaspora, to confront threats to democracy, human rights, and self-determination. Bishop Tolton is the founder of the IC Justice Affirming Elders Council, a transnational alliance of African and African-American faith leaders, scholars, legal experts, and civil society advocates working alongside Gen Z organizers to challenge the global rise of white Christian nationalism. Bishop Tolton has advised the U.S. State Department on faith-based engagement, led faith-rooted resistance to anti-LGBTQ legislation in East Africa, and brings a powerful blend of theology, policy, and global organizing to today's conversation. Bishop Tolton, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns.
Greetings to you, dear brother Jackson, and certainly my sister Gina. Always good to be here. It's my favorite Friday of the month.
Bishop, I'm so excited that you're here. Bishop, some interesting things have been developing over the course of the last 48 hours, and I should take a moment of personal privilege to really congratulate my brother Jonathan Jackson, who had the opportunity to speak at the prayer breakfast just before the President of the United States, and clearly, like beating the drums on the plantation, he sent a signal across the nation and across the world that we cannot and we will not be silenced even in prayer. Bishop Tolton, share with your thoughts on the prayer breakfast.
I was so delighted to hear Congressman Jackson's remarks. They were incredibly essential to truly framing and casting a light on this event for what it is. For many years, this event has become an important touchstone for the white Christian nationalist movement and its global intentions. There has been a lot of work done by the Freedom Free Thought Caucus within the House of Representatives to encourage Democrats to not attend. And the number of Democrats that have attended has precipitously declined over time. And I think that that's actually a very positive thing because it does isolate those on the right as driving and being the drivers of this breakfast. But I think it's very important that Congressman Jackson actually was present and he was there. He gave what can only be understood as a publicly ethical critique of not only the prayer breakfast, but of the agenda of this administration. I quote the congressman by saying that he directly prayed that the president would exercise greater clarity, greater courage, and greater capacity to do what is right. He invoked compassion for families who are burying their loved ones, and he framed the prayer as a reminder that we are all Americans, all made in the image of God, which was him pressing for the moral consideration rather than for partisanship. This address really needs to be highlighted and it needs to be lifted up because I think it could really be a game changer in the ways in which the Congressional Black Caucus far more forthrightly uses and speaks to theological language, which is so connected to, of course, the political situation that we're living in here today. Excellent leadership displayed on yesterday.
You know, when I was in Congress, I am reminded in this moment that there's a weekly prayer breakfast that members have ordained, if you will, set in motion for themselves. And when I was in Congress, I actually attended and found myself more often than not the only Democrat in the room. Joe Scarborough was part of it, and other, at that time, right-wing evangelicals were part of it. And more often than not, I found myself as the only African-American in those weekly prayer breakfasts. I have come to understand that Jonathan attends those weekly prayer breakfasts as well. And now he's the only Democrat in it. And I think he has created a space of trust on Capitol Hill with his colleagues, if you will, on the right. And that's the only way you get on that stage at that prayer breakfast is if you come by way of those regular meetings. Jonathan earned the trust of his colleagues. He worked his way to the stage and delivered a profound and prophetic moment, I think, in the history of that event by speaking the very clarity that you speak. That doesn't just happen. They didn't just reach over and grab him. He earned their trust and their confidence over time, and they appreciated his perspective, and they let him fly like a bird. And oh, did he fly. Bishop Tolton.
It is so important that we honor our people, whether or not they are inside or outside, because we've got to play the inside-outside game. Clearly, there are those that must be on the outside advocating and speaking truth to power with regard to what the pillar ground of is for the National Prayer Breakfast in terms of what its strategic intentions are. But it is equally as important that we have a voice like Representative Jackson, who is on the inside, who is actually connecting with those on the other side of the aisle, so that standing on the inside, he actually can then speak truth to power. And that takes tremendous courage, and he should not feel isolated or abandoned or forsaken by those that are on the outside. But this is a strategic scheming of how we advance justice that I think we have to embrace. And so for those who might criticize him for being on the inside, I hope that they would take a different look or another look at how strategic it was to have his voice present.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest in this hour is Bishop Joseph William Tolton, the president of Interconnected Justice, a Black internationalist network mobilizing people of African descent across Africa and the diaspora. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580 on Fat Meat Fridays in just a moment.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
What's up? What's up? What's up? You got to laugh the pain away.
Hey, KBLA delegation, happy Black History Month. Around here, we celebrate our culture, our community, and our contributions daily. But this year, as we observe the 100th anniversary of Black History Month celebrations, we're excited about our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, honoring comedy greats. On Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum in downtown LA, we're toasting D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Munell, Dion Cole, and Martin Lawrence with a surprise guest appearance. A limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon remain. So now would be a good time to head to KBLA1580.com to secure one for yourself. That's KBLA1580.com. A little laughter goes a long way, especially in times like these. So come, join us for our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum. Again, tickets are available right now at KBLA1580.com.
Well, I hang around my boy. He's been married for 6 years. Videotaping his wedding day, never watched it. Now and every day he watch it every day, but he watch it in reverse. Because he said he loves seeing himself take that ring back off of that finger. Walking back down that aisle, just waving at her, ugly mother down the church, getting back in the limo, back at the bachelor party. Look how happy I was.
Honoring excellence, resilience, and achievement. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy plates, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Honey, that flu keeping you up? Did you take NyQuil Intense Flu?
Nah, I got this. Okay, I don't got this.
Yeah, you need NyQuil Intense Flu.
Undo your flu with NyQuil Intense Flu. NyQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms so you can sleep.
You do got this.
NyQuil Intense Flu. The nighttime sniffling, aching fever. Best sleep with the flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Wally drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Bishop Joseph William Tolton is our very special guest in this hour. Joyce Marshall Hamlet. She says, "Oh, wow, your brother did an amazing job. Everything he said was spot on. However, it went right over Trump's head. I'm sure some of his people explained it to him later." Because right after Jonathan prophesied and preached an amazing prayer on behalf of the dispossessed, the locked out, the damned, if you will, in our society, the president then went, Bishop Tolton, into his traditional tirades of pointing fingers, blaming, and disparaging people. And recently, he even posted a horrific meme of the Obamas that was recently taken down, and he's blaming it, of course, on a White House staffer, as if they have access to his personal Twitter feeds and social media handles. Bishop Tolton, what Jonathan had to say went right over his head.
I actually don't think it did go over his head. I think the president was very, very well aware of what was said. He heard it. He might not have responded to it, and his rhetoric might have presented the idea that he didn't hear it. But I believe that he heard very well what was said. We know that he barrels full steam ahead with regard to whatever it is that's on his mind. But in part, the reason that I believe he heard it was that let's dissect what the president said on yesterday. He said, I can't believe that it's possible for any Democrat to be a Christian. That was him directly responding to Congressman Jackson's remarks. It was also his way of saying, I can't believe that African Americans and the Black church are so deeply connected and tied to the Democratic Party. I think it's really important that we lift that up. He was not just disparaging Democrats, but he was directly speaking to African Americans and our political consciousness that is deeply tied to our faith and most best expressed politically through our relationship with the current Democratic Party. He heard very well what the congressman said.
Where do we go from here?
I think it's really interesting to tie this to a couple of things. One, there was another person who attended the breakfast, and we must lift up his presence. And that was the President Felix Tshisekedi, who is the president of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the wealthiest nation on the continent of Africa, where there are $34 trillion worth of minerals that are under the ground of the Congo. We know that recently Tshisekedi was here with President Kagame from Rwanda, and they signed the Washington Accord, which now gives President Trump and his cronies incredible access to Congolese minerals. And in that deal, there is no expression of any possibilities for human rights to be elevated as a dimension of the Washington Accord. There's no expression of how there is a national program to connect local Congolese businesses to the extraction of minerals. This is all about a connection between religiosity and adherence to certain religious values and how that gets connected to extraction. Here we go again. This takes us back to the doctrine of discovery, where the Pope said to the King of Portugal, you have every right to have complete dominion over the bodies and resources of those who we consider to be pagans or non-Christians. I really think it's important that we lift up the presence of Tshisekedi, because this role on Africa is only going to increase. And Tshisekedi attended the event in part because he really wants to become far closer to Trump. He needs his help and his backing to make sure that he can undo the constitution of the Congo so that he can run a third term. Right now, he's term limited out, but there's no way that that's going to stand. So this deeper and closer relationship with Trump, who obviously has no care for electoral integrity and is clearly articulating a plan to roll us in our upcoming elections, he's becoming a model and a friend to Tshisekedi, and that's dangerous for the continent of Africa.
It certainly is. I'm thinking about Patrice Lumumba and the transition to independence and the liberation movement led by Lumumba in the Congo, which ultimately not only had him murdered, there was a role of the CIA as well as the imperial empire that had essentially colonized the Congo. Lumumba's death is one of the most horrific events in American, if not human history, the dismemberment and the burning of his body in acid. And most recently, the only remains that were still, I think, in Belgium were returned to the Congo. And that was, and it was given an official formal funeral in the Congo. A gold tooth is all that remains of Patrice Lumumba, and it was buried with honor in the Congo. And here we have another Congolese leader on the other side of Lumumba, essentially laying the foundation for authoritarianism within the Congo in order to participate in the kind of extractions that Donald Trump is looking forward to, along with his cronies.
That's absolutely correct. And I think it's so important and vital that you lifted up the history of Lumumba, because what it speaks to is that they target and they kill our prophets, because they understand that when we all get together and have that great Black internationalist reunion and we share our stories, that it is in our reconciliation that we will find our power to harvest the possibilities of Black global solidarity. And as a united force, we will be unstoppable in completely changing the scheme of the economic order of our current global society, which is built on the backs of enslaved Africans. It was our ability to more efficiently pick cotton based on the fact that our bodies were being tortured that allowed us to be able to develop the American economy. It was the exportation of cotton from the United States sent to Europe at a discounted rate, where that cotton was then turned into clothing and manufactured and distributed around the world. That process became the process whereby which we have the modern industrial revolution based on the backs of Black people. So with that understanding of how important our embodiment is to the current economic order, they defy our possibilities of being one people. And that's often done by killing our leaders to send us a signal. So yes, they kill Garvey, essentially. They put him in jail until he rotted and died. We know they kill King, they kill Malcolm X, they even killed Gaddafi, and this as they did Lumumba. And that was to send a clear signal. We will crush you when you try to be united. I want to go back to the meeting that Ramaphosa had, president of South Africa, with Trump when he was here. The video that Trump played was a video that was featuring Julius Malema. Who was he? One of the strongest voices for Black internationalism, one of the strongest voices for a borderless, united Africa. They are afraid of our unity. They are afraid of the possibilities that can be generated from our togetherness. But we are clearly on a path toward building a great Black internationalist reunion. And I think that that is going to usher us into a new era of Black radicalism that we must adopt. And if I was going to lift up a particular theme for today on this first Friday of Black History Month, it would be, I believe we must find a pathway to a new Black radicalism. And I'm probably branded by some, having an MBA and worked in corporate America, as perhaps being a bit of a moderate, but I am really finding my more radical credentials and radical roots these days.
You know, and we couldn't be more fond of the idea that, given the nature of your education, that Black radicalism is now taking center stage in much of your thinking. Compare Black radicalism, let's say, for example, to the Black moderates or to those who have not reached a revolutionary turning point in their thinking, and why they too should consider the very nature of radicalism.
I would love to introduce the audience, if I may, to a scholar and a book that I am currently reading. It is a book celebrating the life of Hubert Harrison, and the book is called Forbidden Genius of Black Radicalism. And I just want to share this with the audience. I hope it's easily seen. I'm enjoying this. I knew nothing about Hubert Harrison until I was exposed by Brian Kuoba, who teaches at the University of Memphis, to this incredible book. He is the predecessor to Marcus Garvey. He is actually, Hubert Harrison is the person who Garvey found when he came to Harlem. Hubert Harrison was already here. And why the book lifts up this idea of the forbidden genius of Black radicalism is that, unlike the NAACP and other groups that might be perceived as having been moderate because of their being to some degree captured by the idea of respectability politics, Hubert Harrison lifted up an alternative vision for Black Americans and Black people worldwide to follow. And that is really driven by his deep commitment to a more radical socialism, to a more radical understanding of economic solidarity based in the idea of Ubuntu and African cosmologies. He also had a very radicalized idea around sexuality and around love and around the expressions of love and sexuality, which very much so flied in the face of what the Black church was preaching. So I'm really being guided and inspired by his thinking that Black radicalism is not a new thing, but something that we actually have to return to.
I think you're absolutely right. And I say it's new because a new generation of Americans who've taken advantage of the system, who've become MBAs, who gain the level of scholarship that you have, they often don't associate the path to Wall Street or the path to business that was so consuming in our generation, Bishop Tolton, with the idea of being a Black radical. It's like the opposite. But then you fall to some extent out of favor with where the system has trained us to find our living, to participate in the system, to assimilate into it. And now we've arrived full circle that this system is not working for us. And on the continent where we actually can claim as Black people that, you know, if Jewish people can claim Israel, and if Arab people can claim the Middle East, and Latin people can claim Mexico and South America, the Black man in America has to have a home. That's right. In Africa. And some of these nations have moved towards the idea of dual citizenship for their brothers and sisters in the diaspora. But what is taking place in the Congo, and what you seem to have suggested in terms of this identification with white Christian nationalism, authoritarianism, and some leadership with on the continent that still desires and sees itself over the legitimate interests and the needs of their people, is a powder keg on the continent that is waiting to happen. It's just got to be a case study for the Central Intelligence Agency, as well as neo-colonial powers who would like to continue to exert American influence and global influence on the continent itself.
That's absolutely correct. And that is why Ibrahim Traore is being heralded as a modern day political prophet, because he is by all means driving and advancing the idea of collective defiance. He is very much so leading a Pan-African campaign for Africans to truly be far more discerning and far more introspective about their values as African people well before Europeans came and tainted the continent.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. This is Fat Meat Fridays. Our very special guest is Bishop Joseph William Tolton, president of Interconnected Justice, a Black internationalist network mobilizing people of African descent across Africa and the diaspora to confront threats to democracy, human rights, and self-determination. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580 on Fat Meat Fridays, more with Bishop Joseph William Tolton.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. 3 people are dead after an elderly driver sped into a 99 Ranch Market in Westwood in Los Angeles. Captain Eric Scott with the Los Angeles Fire Department.
They came in, were able to remove that vehicle to make access to those patients.
Fire officials say the victims were already deceased when crews arrived and 6 others were hurt. The driver survived and investigators believe it was a tragic accident. President Trump is facing backlash after posting a video pushing 2020 election conspiracies and briefly depicting former President and First Lady Barack and Michelle Obama as apes. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the president didn't create the video and rejects claims it was racist. And the Schoenberg Center in New York City is marking its 100th anniversary with a new list of 100 essential books by Black authors. 100 Black Voices spans a century of Black literature, from classics to contemporary works. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Why do we grill to order at Waba Grill? Because it's just better for you. And our Asian-inspired menu has high-quality proteins that are healthier for you. Download the Waba Rewards app or order online at wabagrill.com. Waba Grill, it's for you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Seattle Seahawks are holding firm as a 4.5-point favorite over the New England Patriots for Sunday's Super Bowl. It's a 3:30 p.m. kickoff local time on NBC. For streamers, you can catch the game live on Peacock. As for all the TV commercials people are waiting to see, a 30-second spot is costing advertisers an average of $8 million. Matthew Stafford is the first Rams player to be voted NFL Most Valuable Player since quarterback Kurt Warner in 2001. Only 2 other Rams in franchise history have won MVP, running back Marshall Faulk in 2000 and quarterback Roman Gabriel in 1969. Tonight at 6, you can get your Friday night sports fix, Out of Bounds in prime time. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for 60 minutes of sports chatter with some black folks flavor. You're welcome to join the conversation at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Tavis Smiley. The tools to hold a meaningful conversation should not be reserved just for a privileged few. It is a skill our world desperately needs in every community, at every table. So I'm pleased to announce the Founding Members Scholarship Program for my online course, The Art of Conversation, in 4 different categories. The Community Builder, for those who serve others, the Rising Voice for emerging communicators, the Bridge Builder for underrepresented perspectives, and the Determined Scholar for those facing financial hardship. If finances are the only barrier between you and this training, well, let's hurdle that barrier. We're accepting applications right now at TavisTalks.com. That's TavisTalks.com. The priority deadline is February the 10th. So visit TavisTalks.com right now and let's build this table together.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
They call it progress, but progress has a price. Land once held in black hands, taken, stolen, erased. Acres paved into highways, fields burned. Homes replaced by parking lots and broken promises. Every deed lost was a dream deferred. We talk about millionaires, but what about the millionaires that never were? The farmers whose soil was seized. The families who watched their inheritance disappear. The wealth that never had a chance to grow because its roots were ripped from the ground. They took the land, but never the legacy, because the soil remembers, and so do we. Every story matters. Our mission is to collect, preserve, and amplify these stories. If this is part of your family's history, visit blacklandlost.org/share your story and help bring us closer to justice.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest in this hour is Bishop Joseph William Tolton, President of Interconnected Justice, a Black internationalist network mobilizing people of African descent across Africa, the diaspora, and to confront specifically threats to democracy, human rights, and self-determination. Bishop, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Excellent to be with you here on First Fridays.
Bishop, there seems to be an obsession by the Trump administration with critical minerals. And of course, the United States and the country itself, the world, has been surveyed from one end of the world to the other. They know where large gold deposits are, where large titanium deposits are, and lithium deposits are. And it seems that with that information that most indigenous people, for example, do not have, the U.S. government and the first world powers make a determination that for their strategic interests, even if the indigenous people on top of those minerals have no knowledge, the value of what's underneath their feet, our policies are essentially set in motion on the basis of something we need to extract from underneath them with little to no participation from them or knowledge of them as to what it is that we are extracting and the reasons for which we are extracting it. It seems to me that the identification of these critical minerals and vital resources have been driving American and, quite frankly, capitalist foreign policies for a century and a half, since the American Civil War, since and before the Industrial Revolution. I'm wondering the extent to which you think or understand or appreciate just how difficult it will be for many of these nations to ever recover from the relationships they're entering into right now with the first world.
Yeah, that's a really excellent way to put it. It's an interesting question. Will they recover from these relationships? It's deeply connected to, will they be able to generate a mass mobilization of their citizenry who have some understanding of this kind of a new scheming of how the imperialist model works in this 21st century? Because this is not, the former kind of standard imperial model. It is very much so driven by these pipelines that are created through these extremist Pentecostal networks that give these faith leaders access to high-level government officials. And it's the faith leaders that are doing the coordination and that are driving this extractive possibilities forward, because they are the points of connection to these autocratic leaders. I believe that the answer is in what is often perceived to be a problem for Africa, in that Africa's population is growing at a faster rate than any other population on the continent. By 2050, we know that 1 out of every 4 people on the planet is going to be a person on the African soil. If we are able to equip and empower this next generation of young Africans with the knowledge and information that they need to transform their consciousness. Are you all able? You're not able to hear me? I'm sorry.
Yes, we can hear you, Bishop. We can.
If they are able to transform the consciousness of these young people, it is these young people who are going to be able to build a movement that is going to be able to change African nations. And we already see the breadcrumbs of this. I want to go back to Kenya, where 2 years ago, the Gen Z millennials, in response to the president tabling an odious tax bill, these leaderless as in we have a flat structure where there's no one leader that you can identify and capture and kill and therefore bring down the movement, but it's a flat leadership structure. They are in the streets, and they have made President Ruto's life very difficult. And we now see Gen Z millennials are now gathering in Nigeria, they're gathering in Zambia. They are the solution and they are the answer. So the question is, will we as African Americans join hands with them? Will we help to resource them? Will we partner with them with regard to helping them with their strategies, tactics, and methodologies? Will we create opportunities to elevate their voice and presence on the global stage through the use of our media platforms? Gen Z millennials and their activism around economic and political reform, I deeply believe, can make the difference in turning around the trajectory of the African continent. I hear you. I see you on mute.
I'm very impressed with some of the young African leaders that are emerging in power. But it's not fraught without revolutionary practices within their own particular context, including but not limited to coup d'etats to overcome the traditionalists who've entered into these long-term relationships. You think about Traoré and the work that he is doing. At the same time, he's almost confronting an assassination attempt once a month.
Yeah.
Because of his concerns about the resources, elevating the people of his country. And so the path that you have suggested, Bishop, is fraught with a history of assassination, a history of revolution, a history of corruption, of African leaders who take advantage of these relationships, end up moving large amounts of resources to European countries, and they retire into these European countries, and vast amounts of wealth never return to the people. Such is the history of the continent, Bishop.
No, there's no question that that is the case. I think that faith leaders can also play a significant role here, and that we must lift up an adherence to a different economic order, an economic order that is far more grounded and rooted in the ethics and the ideals of the Christ. We often talk about, Pentecost and the joy and that comes with Pentecostalism. We don't talk about the fact that on the day of Pentecost, those who were a part of that experience, they brought all that they had and put it in one pool. And then they redistributed that wealth to each family based on the family's economic need. We do have an opportunity to create a new vision for our economic order, for economic sharing, and for economic possibilities that are a direct rejection of the extraction, that the principles of extraction that are inherent in our modern day capitalist movement. But it means that we have to fall out of love with America's capitalism. We have to become the critics of the market, and we may have to lose something personally in order to participate in something that works for all of us.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
There's no championship league for small business owners, but if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation, one-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
What if poetry wasn't something you studied, but something you felt? Poetry for the People, the June Jordan Experience, is now live at the Fountain Theater in Los Angeles, celebrating the life and legacy of June Jordan, visionary poet, activist, and truth teller. This vibrant musical experience brings her words to life with rhythm, joy, and power. Directed by Raymond O. Caldwell and featuring music by her longtime collaborator Adrian Torf, it's joy as resistance, love as liberation, and poetry for the people. Tickets are on sale now at fountaintheater.com. That's fountaintheater.com. LADWP urges everyone to always keep safety top of mind. If you see a downed wire, don't touch it. Stay far away and call 911 immediately. Downed wires can be deadly. Whether you're at home, work, or on the road, always assume the wire is live. Together, we can keep Los Angeles safe and powered. Learn more at ladwp.com/electric safety.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Jr., welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest in this hour is Bishop Joseph William Tolton, President of Interconnected Justice. Bishop, welcome forward to the show.
Good to be with you, dear brother Jackson.
Bishop, my sincerest apologies, having a small technical difficulty on my end. I did want to ask you about the future. The disruption in just 1 year under the Trump administration to the global order, and given the history of racism, discrimination, and the ways in which traditional white Christian nationalism has served as an entree into these Black countries, into these African countries, should give us reason to pause that, for example, the Black church doesn't have this kind of access in these countries to these leaders to discuss ways in which the resources are negotiated on behalf of the people within these countries because of the inside perspective that we bring to the equation. It's just more doctrine of discovery and more exploitation, and the role that white evangelicalism and Christianity has used to subdue people for decades, for centuries. It's more of the same, just more sophisticated.
That's absolutely right. Jesse, for 19 years, I served as a bishop in an organization that I have tremendous affection for, the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries. I just resigned as a senior bishop from that organization because I felt very called to actually become more of a unifying force within the Black church as it relates to how the Black church connects to the African continent. So as opposed to being connected to one faith-based institution, I thought it was important for me now to stand in my shoes as the president of Interconnected Justice and to leverage that positioning to be able to help to perhaps solve, or not solve categorically, but to advance the implications of your question, which is that we as African Americans in the Black church have got to create more tactical points of connection between ourselves and the continent so that we have an apparatus or a container whereby which we are able to develop shared thinking that can lead to shared solutions. But that is only going to come by intentionally creating these very, very tactical pipelines. The AME Church certainly has quite an extensive footprint across the continent of Africa. I would love to see that increase. I know that the AME Zion Church does as well. But in this political moment and in this hour, to your point, we have a tremendous opportunity to deepen and widen the Black church's connectivity in a tactical way to the continent. I know that the Samuel Dewitt Proctor Conference advances that thinking, and they're doing a lot of work in that direction as well. And I'm really hoping that young seminarians, and I'm doing a lot of work with folks like Reverend Dr. Brad Braxton at CTS and Reverend Fred Davey at Union, because some of the work that we really want to do is exciting and mobilizing our young thinkers in a seminary, in law school, those that are getting MBAs, to come out of school with this sense of desire for that kind of connectivity, to be a real thirst for them when they come out of school originally. So I deeply appreciate your question, and I'm very committed to being a part of advancing an answer.
I remember reading when I was in the seminary something from Bishop Tutu. He said, in the beginning, we had the land and they had the Bible.
Yes.
Today we have the Bible, but now they have the land.
Absolutely.
I can't think of a greater truth in this hour, that there is a connection between what the bishop said and the reality that Christianity is used as some kind of game that takes us off of our best game, which is to recognize that we ought be a people somewhere that have land, that have our own place to call home.
Yes.
And somehow we get hoodwinked, we get bamboozled, we get run amok by, white American and European Christian praxis.
That's right.
Which in the final analysis leaves them with far more of our resources than we have for ourselves.
Let's look at what's happened in the last 48 hours. Tizedeki is welcomed as the president of the Congo, and then Trump releases this horrific video depicting the first African-American president and his wife as a monkey. Africa is welcomed as a strategic asset, but Black Americans are rendered politically disposable in the midst of civil rights rollbacks. And a faith setting is used to sanctify hierarchy and extraction. Moral language is deployed upward while racial harm flows downward. But it's interesting to note that even the conservative African-American senator from South Carolina, Tim Scott, had to have pause. And he issued a response and a rebuke to the Trump White House, saying that this is the most racist thing I've seen coming out of this White House. That's an extraordinary statement from Tim Scott, because what he's clearly implying is it's the most, certainly not the only racist thing that has been said. And we know that he's an apologist for Republicans and a defender of the administration, of accusations against the administration. So I think that crack in the wall there is somewhat prophetic of the fact that crack is going to become a chasm. I think we have a real opportunity here to quicken the imagination of Black Americans from our pulpits around this kind of reconciliation.
Tolton is referring to the tweet issued by Donald John Trump of the Obamas, both Michelle and Barack Obama, as apes with their faces on the bodies of primates. And the shocking nature of that from the White House, for which the president now blames on a staff member, when everyone knows that the other tweets that he has done, literally in the thousands, he simply takes responsibility for himself. And so the one tweet that he doesn't want to own, which has now been removed, is the tweet of the President of the United States depicting the former president and his wife as apes, far beneath the dignity of the presidency of the United States. Bishop, we have about 2 minutes before we come forward. Maybe a word of hope?
Clearly, this is one of the most incendiary things that we have seen come out of this White House. And I think that we would be naive to suggest that this is the floor. There is no end with this president. But what this should say to us is that now the gloves must come off. And when I say that, what I mean is that we have now got to lean into another level of Black radicalism. We must fully embrace the power and the possibility of what it means for us to be marginalized and socially and politically and economically indicted in this American society. We are the prophets of this generation. We must rise as prophets, and we must stand in the fullness of our prophetic possibilities and our prophetic declarations. Not only do we need each other as Black people, but the country needs us again to save the country from itself. We are the prophets, Brother Jackson, of this generation.
Love you, Bishop Tolton, and there's nothing you can do about it. Thank you so much for being on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. More on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. 3 people are dead after an elderly driver sped into a 99 Ranch Market in Westwood in Los Angeles. Captain Eric Scott with the Los Angeles Fire Department.
They came in, were able to remove that vehicle to make access to those patients.
Fire officials say the victims were already deceased when crews arrived and 6 others were hurt. The driver survived and investigators believe it was a tragic accident. President Trump is facing backlash after posting a video pushing 2020 election conspiracies and briefly depicting former President and First Lady Barack and Michelle Obama as apes. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the president didn't create the video and rejects claims it was racist. And the Schomburg Center in New York City is marking its 100th anniversary with a new list of 100 essential books by Black authors. 100 Black Voices spans a century of Black literature, from classics to contemporary works. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Why do we grill to order at Waba Grill? Because it's just better for you. And our Asian-inspired menu has high-quality proteins that are healthier for you. Download the Waba Rewards app or order online at wabagrill.com. Waba Grill, it's for you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Seattle Seahawks are holding firm as a 4.5-point favorite over the New England Patriots for Sunday's Super Bowl. It's a 3:30 p.m. kickoff local time on NBC. For streamers, you can catch the game live on Peacock. As for all the TV commercials people are waiting to see, a 30-second spot is costing advertisers an average of $8 million. Matthew Stafford is the first Rams player to be voted NFL Most Valuable Player since quarterback Kurt Warner in 2001. Only two other Rams in franchise history have won MVP, running back Marshall Faulk in 2000 and quarterback Roman Gabriel in 1969. Tonight at 6, you can get your Friday night sports fix, Out of Bounds in prime time. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for 60 minutes of sports chatter with some Black folks flavor. You're welcome to join the conversation at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Tavis Smiley. The tools to hold a meaningful conversation should not be reserved just for a privileged few. It is a skill our world desperately needs in every community, at every table. So I'm pleased to announce the Founding Members Scholarship Program for my online course, The Art of Conversation, in 4 different categories. The Community Builder, for those who serve others, the Rising Voice for emerging communicators, the Bridge Builder for underrepresented perspectives, and the Determined Scholar for those facing financial hardship. If finances are the only barrier between you and this training, well, let's hurdle that barrier. We're accepting applications right now at TavisTalks.com. That's TavisTalks.com. The priority deadline is February the 10th. So visit TavisTalks.com right now and let's build this table together.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
Hi, Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Chat Me Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest in this hour is Valeria Olivia Whiting, also known as Val Whiting Raymond, an American former collegiate and professional basketball player. She played center for the Stanford Cardinal women's basketball during her 4 years of pre-med study at Stanford. Among other collegiate honors, she was named the Pac-10 Women's Basketball Player of the Year 2 years in a row. She's also played for several U.S. national teams as well as professional women's basketball teams. Gina Towns, we're welcoming Val to our show today. How you doing, G?
Hi, Jesse Jackson Jr. Hi, Val. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Val, I'm so grateful that you're here. So much going on as I can imagine, as you can imagine, in the world. But there's also a lot going on in the world of sports. Some of the challenges that women's sports has been confronting in the era of, well, I've got to be a little bit political. The transgendered athletes has always been somewhat controversial in politics. Some have even argued that the election in some of the states actually turned on some of these issues. I should share with you at the very outset that I think that women deserve equality at every level of their existence. And I don't think personally that that our system should disrupt all of the progress that women have made in this realm. And Gene and I have talked about it back and forth over a number of years. But I'm certainly glad that you're on our program. And I'd love to hear your perspective on a whole range of issues. But that's the political issue that dominates, because we're trying to regain control of Congress. And I saw some pretty nasty commercials just a year ago when we were fighting Donald Trump. And it really cost Democrats control of some seats because they were very progressive on issues that some suggested they should have been a little less progressive on. Val, your initial thoughts?
On the whole transgender women in sports?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I haven't been shy about expressing my opinion on it. I feel that transgender women have an advantage over biological women in sports, and there should be some type of special category for transgender athletes only.
I'm with you. Gina, I'm with Val on that. Gina?
I mean, it just makes sense. It's okay. Everybody's do what they do, where they do it, and be happy.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about
I
it
don't
the whole show because I just wanted to say that I'm very particularly proud of Val's accomplishments on the court and off the court. And actually, I think you're one of the most amazing athletes of all time. The fact that you accomplished what you did at Stanford while being a pre-med student suggests that you are amongst the brightest people who've ever done some of both. But that also puts you in a really interesting category on another political conversation. that for whatever reason, we have to be, my father says, superior just to be equal. We have to be more than what the society expects of us. And then after you've accomplished, Val, what you have accomplished, they then turn around and tell you that the laws that were designed to ensure that you could be a pre-med student or even practice medicine are now being closed right in front of us, Val. Some of the challenges of someone as accomplished as you are scholastically.
Yeah, I just remember my days at Stanford being an African American athlete and have to constantly prove myself, prove my intelligence, prove that I belong there. And even being a Stanford graduate, and someone finds that I played basketball there, they're asked, well, did you graduate? So you have to be, yeah, it's crazy, right? Constantly have to be above and beyond and do above and beyond. That's probably why I majored in pre-med, because I had a chip on my shoulder, always trying to prove to people that, hey, I am smart, I am intelligent.
You know, I had the same problem when I was growing up. From the moment I walked into the third grade, everybody asked me, hey, or they knew who I was before I knew who they were. Hey, that's Jesse Jackson Jr. And then I have to turn people who don't know me into my friends, and people who are detractors have to warm up to me over time. And it happens no matter what I do, whether I am going to college, whether I am going to Congress, whether I'm going to law school, or what, it starts over again. I mean, at 60 years old, I think the African American experience is that we're in a constant state of trying to prove something that most people have no idea what we actually confront.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's generational too. I mean, I'm a mom of two boys, and I find them doing the same thing, trying to prove that they're not gangster, trying to prove that they are more than just athletes, trying to prove that they're not a threat. So I maybe in the year 2050 it'll be different. I don't know, but right now we're still battling the same things I battled in the 80s and the 90s, and I'm sure you as well.
Val, you must have some thoughts about what's taking place in our streets today and the anxiety from Minneapolis to even what took place in Los Angeles with respect to the National Guard. Share with us some of your thoughts, if you don't mind, about where our country is at this hour.
Yeah, it's a scary time. My parents grew up in the Jim Crow era. But my mom in the South, my dad on the East Coast, but they both, 6 years old, had to pick cotton and pick blueberries to make ends meet for their family. And they talk about those times being scary. But when I talk to them about what's going on in 2026, they are shocked that we are where we are right now as a country. And they cannot believe that even though we've come so far, we haven't really come that far. So just having that perspective as parents that have gone through that, and then seeing what I see now and being a parent myself, I can't imagine what other parents of young kids are saying and how they're explaining the state of our country and the world.
I wanted Gina to ask a question, but we'll come back on pay disparities for women athletes when we come forward. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Our very special guest in this hour is Val Whiting, one of basketball's greatest athletes, one of the greatest who's ever played the game. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
What's up? What's up? What's up? You got to laugh the pain away.
Hey, KBLA delegation, happy Black History Month. Around here, we celebrate our culture, our community, and our contributions daily. But this year, as we observe the 100th anniversary of Black History Month celebrations, we're excited about our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, honoring comedy greats. On Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum in downtown LA, we're toasting D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Munell, Dion Cole, and Martin Lawrence with a surprise guest appearance. A limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon remain, so now would be a good time to head to KBLA1580.com to secure one for yourself. That's KBLA1580.com. A little laughter goes a long way, especially in times like these. So come, join us for our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum. Again, tickets are available right now at KBLA1580.com.
Well, I hang around my boy. He's been married for 6 years. Videotaping his wedding date, never watched it. Now and every day he watch it every day, but he watch it in reverse. Because he said he loves seeing himself take that ring back off of that finger. Walking back down that aisle, just waving at her ugly mother down the church, getting back in the limo, back at the bachelor party. Look how happy I was.
Honoring excellence, resilience, and achievement, we're at KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy place every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Honey, that flu keeping you up? Did you take NyQuil Intense Flu?
Nah, I got this. Okay, I don't got this.
Yeah, you need NyQuil Intense Flu.
Undo your flu with NyQuil Intense Flu. NyQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms so you can sleep.
You do got this.
NyQuil Intense Flu. The nighttime sniffling, aching fever. Best sleep with the flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns, and our very special guest in this hour is Val Whiting, who was an alternate for the 1995-96 U.S. Olympic women's basketball team. In 1996, the U.S. team won the gold medal at the 1996 Summer Olympics in Atlanta. In 1996, the American Basketball League was the first independent professional basketball league for women in the United States. They recruited both Whiting and her Stanford teammate, Jennifer Azzi, for the San Jose Lasers. Whiting was also chosen to play the West All-Stars team in the December 1996 ABL All-Star Game. Gina, you have a very special guest on our program today.
Absolutely. And we are excited about it. You see, well, I might not be playing any basketball today, but I have on my gear.
What do you have on?
I love it. I used to be pretty good at a few things, though, Val.
I want to hear about your sports background.
I was always picked to be on the kickball team when I was in elementary school.
That's what's up. Hey, if I didn't play professional basketball, I would have been a professional kickball player because I love kickball.
Oh, was it kickball something else? Man, you could be outside all day.
Val, can we talk about pay disparities for a moment? Let's be
sure
as candid as we possibly can be. I watched the previous seasons of the WNBA with Angel Reese and the other young lady Caitlin Clark, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Caitlin. And it became increasingly clear that both of them were driving interest in the sport at arenas around the country, but there still existed huge pay disparities, not only for, if you will, those who are generating large crowds within the various franchises, but for the average athlete who may not enjoy the same attention, but nonetheless are equally as important in generating revenue for the WNBA. Where are we on the question of disparities, and why do they persist?
Well, when I played in the league, and people are amazed when I tell this story. The first year I played, after I was in the ABL, the American Basketball League. That league folded, and we all went to the WNBA. And when I played in the W, my first year, I made $30,000. $30,000.
$30,000. That's like minimum wage.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And did we have healthcare? They had just gotten healthcare in the offseason for their players, so we came in at a good time. They just did a new CBA, collective bargaining agreement. But now, you have players like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.